Welcome back to It Resolves, where we play a new deck every single day. Today's deck is Praetor's Prison. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another standard gameplay video. I hope you guys are doing exceptionally well today. We are testing out a fun one. I'm very curious about this deck. We'll talk about that in a second. Before we do, I just want to remind you, we do have a giveaway going on for Battle for Baldur's Gate. We're giving that booster box away, a full draft booster box on June 17th. So do stay tuned for that. We'll have a video announcing the winner, of course. There are multiple ways to enter, so you're going to want to go check out the information in the video or on our website, resolvesmtg.com. All the details are there. You can certainly enter for free in 4 different ways, subscribing here on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or Discord. If you do all 4 of those, you have the best possible chance. I will also say, not that I don't want to pressure anybody, but if you would like to support on a Patreon or YouTube membership level, please feel free. It would be hugely appreciated. You also get bonus entries for all of the giveaways, so anybody who is already subscribed there, you're already entered as a bonus opportunity on top of the other 4. Now, again, I don't want to push that, but just saying that if you would like to, that's certainly a great opportunity as well. But let's get past that. Let's talk about Praetor's Prison. This is brought to you by Sonio. Now, I play a number of Sonio's deck lists because I really like his deck building style. I think it's really interesting and it's really good. This one's an interesting one, though. I've not had any luck with it. I've played like 3 games, but the concept is interesting enough that I really want to try it and potentially later on down the line maybe build my own version. But the idea is that it's essentially a Lier Control deck. Like, at heart, that's what it is. You've seen a lot of these pieces before. We've got the burn opportunities here. We've got the Fading Hopes, the Jwari Disruptions, the Expressive Iterations to help filter and get through the top of our deck. We do have Igneous Inspiration, which is going to give us access to our sideboard, of course, and then Big Score, Celestus, Prismari Command, all the normal stuff, right? All the normal stuff. Burn down the house, of course, as well. But you'll notice we also have 2 and 2 of Urabrask as well as Jin-Gitaxias. Now, here's the thing. Here's what's really caught my eye about this deck. Jin-Gitaxias on his own, fantastic. Urabrask on his own, great. Put them together, and now all of a sudden, you kind of get to a point where you can soft lock the opponent. So here's what I'm saying. Whenever an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, you play one of those, you get to copy it, which is great. But on top of that, whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, you counter that spell. Now that only happens once each turn. However, with Urabrask, at the beginning of your upkeep, you exile the top card of your deck. You can play it this turn. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, the next time they would draw a card this turn, instead, they exile the top card of their deck, and then they can play it that turn. Now here's where the soft lock kind of comes into play, keeping in mind that there are plenty of opportunities to get out of this soft lock, but here's where it kind of plays to our advantage. They exile a card for the turn. That card is either an instant, sorcery, or artifact, or just a card that can't really do too much for the board. So they either have to play it, or because it's exiled, it goes away at the end of the turn. So now they're left with no cards in hand, assuming they are, again, we're assuming a lot in this scenario, but assuming that they are in top deck mode. That means that at the point we play Jin-Gitaxias, even if they draw an instant, sorcery, or artifact spell, it immediately gets countered, or it just goes away, and now they have nothing that they can do. Now again, keeping in mind, this is a very specific scenario that we are talking about here. However, it is a possibility. We do, of course, again, with the Lier, we've got a lot of ways to also deal with things that we can't deal with that soft lock like creatures, because we've got things like the Thundering Rebuke, the Strangle, Braids, etc. So all of this to say, it's a really interesting concept. Again, credit to Sonio for coming up with this idea. I'm curious to see how it goes. I've not had any luck. We may find that we lose every single game today, but you know what? We're going to have some fun with it regardless, guys. Thank you so much again to Sonio. I'll link him down below, but let's jump in. Let's see how this one goes. All right, everybody, here we are for game number 1. And I don't like this hand. If one of these lands was red, I'd be super into it, but I don't think we can keep that. This I will keep, and I actually think we throw the Iteration back. Iteration is good, obviously. It can be very, very good. But I think in the early turns of the game, it's not really what we're looking to do. So I'm going to lead on this. We do have the Expressive Iteration as well to help dig through the deck, so this should be pretty useful. The question is, do we want to bounce this? I think no. We don't really have anything we're looking to do this upcoming turn. A double Urabrask hand. Interesting. So what we're able to do here is potentially just reset this Luminarch Aspirant this turn if they just move into attacks, which it looks like is the case. So we'll just go ahead and bounce that now. Worth noting, we could have waited until the end of the turn to bounce it, which is a perfectly reasonable play, but I'm not super interested in doing that. I'd rather not take the extra damage here, because later on we can always just kind of burn this out if need be. I'm going to take the opportunity to Expressive Iteration, I think. Yeah, so that goes to the hand. That will go back in the deck, and we'll play the Pathway this turn, allowing us to go ahead and Strangle that Aspirant, just get it off the field. We are kind of opening ourselves up here, but we are pretty close, at least, to the Urabrask play, which is certainly a reasonable play, so hopefully we can do that. It looks like they might have a Doomscar here, which is, again, perfectly reasonable, but we'll see. I guess we counter? I don't really see why not. Just to kind of get them off of the card draw in that play, I feel like that's perfectly reasonable. They should have played that land. Wow, interesting. All right, so I'm just going to Urabrask and attack in, fully expecting that they will take this thing out this turn. However, we do get to see what card they draw here, which is kind of nice. Oh, no, we don't. Okay, Vanishing Verse is getting us there. Perfectly fine. Kind of the benefit of having two Urabrasks in hand is you get a backup plan. We do have Lier as a backup plan as well, so worth noting that we can just play Lier and then leave something up here if need be. But I'm very curious to see how this actually goes. So they do draw another card, which is not great, but it's fine. Interesting. Okay, so I mean, I'm just gonna Urabrask and leave up the Slip Out the back, I think. Again, this also gets some damage in right away, which is quite nice because of the Lier later on being able to hopefully kind of deal with some of the other stuff too. So we'll see what happens here. They do draw a land, which is fine. They just have to play that. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we're just gonna phase this out. Haha. That felt pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. And that also just removes this from play completely this turn, so it just means, yeah, there we go. We did it. That was our first win. That was really, really nice. That was a just well-sequenced set of turns, so I'm really glad that that worked out the way it did. Let's jump into game 2. What's up, guys? Before we jump into the next game, I just want to remind you, if you would like to pick up this month's Patreon rewards, feel free to do so at patreon.com/itresolves. All right, guys, here we are for our second game. And yeah, I mean, we can definitely keep this. It's an interesting hand, to say the least. Let's lead on the Hall. I think that's okay, because Strangle, to be clear, is a sorcery speed spell, so it really doesn't matter that much. So then we can just do this. I'm actually just going to pass here and see what they do. They can easily attack in, but we do have the Jwari Disruption. Ooh, I like that. Oh, I really like that. Okay. I guess the question is, do we force the issue? I kind of want to. I don't know that this is really correct, honestly. It probably isn't. But if they had a Deadly Dispute, my goal was to really just get them with that counter spell. With the Jwari Disruption, we can kind of force the issue on it, but looks like that's not going to be the case, which is fine. Okay. So now we can big score, probably just pitching a Mountain, honestly. I'd like to leave up the Jwari Disruption just in case, but truthfully, with the Lier coming down pretty soon, most likely, that will be... And in fact, that might just mean we don't want the Jwari Disruption, so I'm going to just ditch it. So also guarantees us the next land, which is pretty important, so I think that that's reasonable. So the question is, do we just go for Jin-Gitaxias? If we do, We are kind of in a tricky position potentially, but I think what we're gonna do is actually Lier. Yeah, I think we're just gonna Lier. The reason being, I kind of want to burn some of their cards here. And while Lier is not, I mean, obviously a very good card, it's not actually at its best right now anyway. Okay, so do we want to do anything about this? Spells can't be countered, worth noting. We can certainly bounce the Lier. I think I'm just gonna let it resolve though. I don't love that, but I think it's actually okay too, because we've got Jin-Gitaxias coming down. And I'd rather have the Jin-Gitaxias anyway. That's actually a really handy draw too. So let's do this. So the reason this is important is because now we can leave the Fading Hope up. And whatever their first instant or sorcery spell is going to be is immediately going to get countered. Now, they were very smart and got to confront the past. What that allows them to do is play this for 1, let it get countered, or excuse me, X equals 0, just return nothing, but let it get countered. And then we, so this is actually just a hard counter there, so they can't do that. Now we get to Fading Hope the Jin-Gitaxias to bring it back. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And yeah, so now that fizzles. We are a little out of luck this turn because we don't have a good way to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, so close. I think we just do that and pass. All right, so what we're kind of leaning towards at this point is hoping they don't have a discard spell. We know they've got them. They just tried to use them, which is not great. Okay. We could very easily cycle the Lounge this turn, which I'm kind of thinking I like the idea of, honestly. They're probably just going to take the Lier. That's fine. Kind of like the idea of cycling the Lounge. I'm going to do it now in case we get a burn spell that we can, like an Abrade. That'd be helpful. This is actually a much better draw, I guess, than... All right, we'll see. We will see. All right, cool. All right, so we're once again faced with an interesting decision because truthfully what we can do is just start attacking with the Halls, which is perfectly reasonable. Alternatively, though, we can just Jin-Gitaxias. I'm going to go the Hall route, I think. I don't know that this is correct at all. But they literally can't kill this because of the ward. I can't say ward. Because of the cost on that, they really couldn't do too much about it. They can attack in here, but we win this race by a long way. So we're kind of forcing them into a position of like having to do something. Yeah, so I think we force them again. They have a removal spell, I guarantee it, otherwise they would have attacked here. But we're gonna force them to use it. And then Jin-Gitaxias is basically a safe play no matter what. Or at least closer. So here they have to take 2 life and pay 3. Just to kill it. So now we're ahead in the race already. They do have Hive of the Eye Tyrant, which is perfectly reasonable, but I'm curious to see what they can actually do. That's a problem. Okay, so now I'm kind of regretting not playing Jin-Gitaxias, but it is what it is. So I'm assuming they just attack with Hive just to get that out of the graveyard. Maybe not. I guess not. Okay. I'm sure they have a removal spell. No, they don't, I assume. I'm actually gonna bounce this. Mostly just because of this. Yeah, I will take a Lier. It's a reasonable enough card. Get 7 damage in. This is a really fascinating game, actually. Huh. All right. Oh, sick. We won. Heck yeah. We're amazing. Okay, that was really, really good. That's 2 wins. Let's see if we can go for 3. All right, guys, here we are for our 3rd game. Probably going to end up being our last game, just so this one doesn't go too long. I'm assuming these games could easily go very long, so I want to keep it under wraps here a little bit. Let's go ahead and just lead with the Pathway land on red. We know we're going to need quite a bit of red here. Okay, sure. So I'm probably just going to abrade that, but I don't actually have to make that decision quite yet. So this is fine. It's very good, but I kind of want them to play something on this if they have it. Looks like they may not. Hopefully they don't have a Snakeskin Veil, but if they do, okay, looks like they don't. Excellent. Worth noting, guys, again, I mean, regardless of the outcome of this game, I really did not think we'd get any wins with this list just because I had had such bad luck with it in practice. But I'm happy to say that's not the case. We're doing pretty well with it so far, at least. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm going to go ahead and Thundering Rebuke that. There's really no reason to leave it on the battlefield, especially when we're really not doing anything else anyway. Sure. Great card. Really don't like that they've played it. So this is just werewolves? Yeah. So basically, if we can get to a burn down the house, we'll be in a much better position. The lounge, huh? So if we just do nothing, this flips back. Alternatively, we can do this, which I shouldn't have played a land if that was going to be the case. So no, it does not flip back. Excuse me. So we have to play 2 things for it to flip back. Oh, well, that's fine. All right, let's let them commit to the board a little bit. Yep, take 4. Probably could have played cleaner that last turn. That was probably a mistake, but it's fine. So they're going to take, I assume, Thundering Rebuke. Yeah. I mean, that just is the best card to take. Yep. Okay, so, I mean, I think the play is pretty clearly just to burn down the house. I don't think we've got a better option here. We really can't let those things sit. Otherwise, we do just die. Hopefully they play something at 3 toughness so we can just kill it. That we can kill. And if that's all they've got, that's great. This is kind of nice because I will just go ahead and Expressive Iteration first. I'll put that in my hand, I suppose. And we're probably just going to lose an Expressive Iteration, but that's kind of fine. I'm going to go ahead and burn this out. It's probably Mascot Exhibition, just based on the lands that we have. So let's do this because we can Fading Hope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So next turn is Mascot Exhibition turn, if we want it. We'll certainly see. That's terrifying. Okay. I think we just Mascot Exhibition. This is not going to be good because the hexproof there is actually a problem. We can certainly burn down the house at some point, but we need a lot of mana to make that happen. And we're not super close to that. So the trick is if we can just attack in, or block it, excuse me, that could be helpful. I don't know. Wow, they just have all the removal in the world. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right, so they're down to nothing in hand, though, which is actually pretty relevant. We're not going to block. We're going to take the 4. What's in our graveyard right now? All right, so this, I think, is just our best bet. I really don't want to lose the Fading Hope opportunity, though. So I think I'm just going to pass. Will not attack. We'll see how this goes. We may end up double blocking a little bit here, but I don't want to... I can't lose Lier. That's the trick. I have to burn down the house at some point. That's so annoying. So we have to do this. They're gonna throw on one of them. I mean, I guess this makes more sense. I don't really know. I'll block here because we really can't take but so much. All right, so we can Fading Hope this to bounce it. We could have probably Expressive Iteration also, but I was trying to be somewhat conservative in my plays. Yep. All right. So where are they throwing the counters? Yeah, that's just smart. No. So we literally have to block, which means we literally have to get burned down the house next turn. We can't block this because it does have menace. Oh, man. Yep. So close. So close. We're not, I guess, well, no, we are pretty dead now. Oh, God, these are terrible. All right, I'm conceding, guys. Unfortunately, that was definitely not going to happen. We could have, I guess, cycled, but there's no way in heck we would have gotten anything. Man, that really sucked. That was still okay, though. 2 out of 3. Not so bad. Let's talk about this. All right, so again, Sonio, thank you so much for sharing this list. I really love the idea of this list, and it did work okay. I mean, I think it's pretty clear it's mostly just an is it control list. So in that capacity, I think it worked really well. And in fact, I think it will most likely work pretty well most of the time because it is just is it control with a couple of extra things thrown in, including Jin-Gitaxias and Urabrask. So it's nice to see those hitting the same deck. I kind of like that melding of the two. But in general, we really didn't get an opportunity to get both of them on the field to where they were really getting to do their thing. It's also very situational, so you have to keep in mind that you really want to get the opponent down to no cards in hand first, which to me screams, hey, let's get a discard outlet in there as well. So maybe that's something to toy around with a little bit, but all in all, it was still a really fun list. And Sonio, thank you again so much for sharing this one. Guys, if you want to try this for yourself, please feel free. I do want to reiterate that we don't play decks on It Resolves to be competitive. We play decks here just for the fun of trying new decks. So just as a word of caution to you, if you try this for yourself and you find yourself not getting the wins, it's okay. We're not trying to get wins. We're just trying to test new decks. So just keep that in mind as you're going through your games, because I know in the past that might have been kind of frustrating for some people, which I totally understand why, but that's not our goal here. So I just want to reiterate that fact as we go through this. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Good luck in the giveaway. I really do appreciate everybody hanging out with me and watching all these videos. It means a lot. So thank you guys very much. I'll see you soon.